Hello guys, it's Captain McNeil here, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make a successful push on a losing team. So I'm in Massachusetts, running full secondary build, down tiered in a tier 6 to 8 game. The Massachusetts is one of my favourite tier 8 battleships of all time, just because of its superior armor scheme, great AA defense, great secondaries, great AP penetration. The only downside is just about its range. But that wouldn't be an issue for me since I play her as a brawler and not a sniper. If you are a sniper, then this ship is probably not for you. You can choose to get her close relative, the Alabama, which might perform better long range. So before making the initial push, you will need to analyze your team's formation as well as your enemies. So that includes how many ships you have, what types of ships have you got, and whether you want to push right next to the cap, into the cap, or around it while flanking it. For this particular game, since I'm wildly down tiered, I'm the highest tier here, as well as my armor scheme, I've decided to go around cap C, so that I would only face up to 2 enemies or maybe 3, which I can easily tank. Never go straight into the cap with no support because you will die, even if you're wildly down tiered, even if you're in a Bismarck, you can still get burned down pretty easily by 6 tier, let's say tier 5 or 6 or 7 cruisers. So that includes failed divs, tier 5s, whatever. You get the picture. As you can see, I'm sailing at an angle. That is very important because even if you have great armor, you can still get citadeled. So make sure you sail at an angle, and you can even make maneuvers to dodge torpedoes. So here's the New Mexico, slightly out of my range, so I'm just going to keep sailing and try to pull off a shot before I go behind that island. Right now I can see that the enemy DD has not yet been spotted, but I can guarantee that the DD is not at cap C, because the cap is not getting contested, nor am I spotted. So even if he's coming to cap C, right now I'm not under any torpedo risks. So the 3 ships that I know are threats right now would be the New Mexico that's heading towards cap C, Zara, which is behind the C flank, as well as Dunkirk, which is camping behind the C cap. So my plan is to suppress Zara and Dunkirk, destroying them, pushing in and destroy New Mexico, control the C cap zone, then push together with my team so that we can take B and A.
All stations, concentrate fire on the target.
So right before going behind the island, I'm going to let off a salvo at the New Mexico. This way I won't be detected, nor is he going to retaliate, while I can hit him hard. Now I'm detected by the Dunkirk, so notice how I'm trying to angle against both the Dunkirk and the Zara so that they won't be able to do a lot of damage to me, while I still will be able to do damage to them. I've got both the defensive advantage and the offensive advantage here, so I'm going to push towards that flank, lock my secondaries on the Dunkirk, while trying to delete the Zara once I get the chance. Now I'm going to keep pushing, and hopefully I can use that island to block out Zara's gunfire. So now I'm at a 1 versus 1 situation with the Dunkirk, and I can easily overmatch her, and she couldn't overmatch me. Just casually bouncing some battleship shells right there. Now my guns are nearly loaded again, so I'm going to try to flank New Mexico. But she's about to die, but why not? Just add a few extra men to her. Took quite a big hit there. Kind of didn't expect New Mexico to be aiming at me, but after all, we've pushed through that flank and we will be able to secure C. Again, this shows, regardless of your tier, if you show a lot of broadside, you are going to get hit hard. So you want to keep the number of enemies firing at you to the lowest, so I'm going to break off contact with Dunkirk, and I'm going to start firing at Zara, with Zara firing back at me. Now Zara's trying to do some kind of WASD, some tail wiggling, and it did catch me off quite a few times while aiming, but might not have better luck later. Now, since the Dunkirk is again about to pop into our view, and she's this close, I'm going to let off the next salvo at the closest target and try to secure that kill. Now, since the Dunkirk is about to die, it's time to let off my front two guns at the Zara. This time, he's not so lucky.
Enemy cruiser sunk.
I don't know what that guy is doing, but it looks like he was AFK, but then he started moving as soon as I hit him, so that could have been a bot of some kind. And black.
Direct front. Enemy cruiser foundered.
This Zara had been quite annoying for the whole game, continuously firing SAP at me, but at last we've got him, so that is all good. So now with the whole fleet, we're going to push towards B. And same idea, keep your ship angled so you don't get any surprise citadels. And sail at an angle in which you can still recover to dodge torpedoes. So I can see that there's a friendly Lenin who's trying to push on his own, and that is very dangerous, don't do that. But since he's already doing it, we're going to use him as the tank, so we're going to keep pushing at full speed, make sure we try our best to delete the enemies who are firing at him, and he's basically going to soak up all the damage. Just trying to take a blind fire at this Akazuki, who's around 16 kilometers away. Not expecting to hit him, but why not? Now I can see an Amagi right here, so I've decided to pull off a salvo at the broadside. But now look, somehow I've completely missed that salvo even though I've aimed right at the waterline. And some may be able to say that it's just my dispersion, but I think there could have been a possible glitch, and some people believe that as well. Now I'm trying to push towards Cap A, so this way we're not going to become sitting ducks. If we all just go into Cap B, we're just going to be sitting ducks and they're going to fire inside the cap zone from outside, and that wouldn't be any help. Plus they've got a CV. So I'm going to put pressure on the CV as well as the Cap A by pushing straight towards Cap A. Now I don't need to worry about the Akazuki because she probably fired all her torps at the Lenin, and I can see it here. So I'm completely safe from that ship. So I'm gonna rush towards the smoke, hoping to kill the Akazuki while firing at the battleships now.
All stations requesting fire on the designated target.
I didn't take a shot at either of the BBs because I had AP loaded and they looked well angled. So instead, I explored more targets, and guess what? I can see the Akazuki being out of her smoke, and that is the perfect target for me to fire that salvo at. And I've locked my secondaries too, and as you can see, the Akazuki is in a lot of trouble. Now great, I've unlocked the Confederate achievement, so that triggered my commander skill. So now I have an even higher DPM, and now I can get back to lapping those battleships. Now since I can see some planes coming, so I'm gonna launch a catapult fighter as well as my AA sectors, and hopefully we can destroy all of those planes.
All stations requesting fire on the designated target.
Now I can see some momentum advantage with our team, and we're trying to turn the game around, and we're doing good. So we're going to continue pushing, make sure we're properly angled. Now I can see the Baltimore down behind the island. I'm going to angle towards the Baltimore so that I don't get AP'd while keeping all of my secondaries on the Monarch. Now this is very important. You should choose targets wisely. So you should pick the targets that are vulnerable to your current shells and fire at them. So I can see that Alabama coming from over the island, and it's a perfect shot for me. I know it didn't turn out well for me in this video because the kill ended up being secured by someone else, but usually it is a better choice because if that teammate didn't fire at him, he would have been a huge risk for all of us. Now this clip shows a lot about the beauty of the Massachusetts, the incredible heals, and now basically the all-purpose US AP. You could easily penetrate other BBs, other CAs from some angles that you wouldn't expect citadels, like this one. And of course, the heals on the Massachusetts is just crazy for T8. I mean, the survivability is great, especially in burst situations like this. I've been tanking both the Baltimore and the Monarch, both T8s with HEs. And right now, after disengaging the Baltimore, I'm winning the fight and I'm waiting for my next repair party. Now, after killing Monarch, I'd be aiming for the Baltimore, so time to turn my turrets towards the island and make a sharp turn so I can get all of my turrets on the Baltimore and my secondaries. So now the only ship that's a huge threat to me is the Baltimore, so I need to get rid of that as soon as possible. It has some American APs that could easily do AK salvos at me. So I already see the CV, we can deal with that later, but obviously let's deal with the highest threat levels first. So that is the Baltimore.
Enemy cruiser foundered.
So now, after killing the Baltimore and securing the Kraken, it's time for me to hunt down the carrier and try to put more pressure on Cap A. So now all I need to do is chase down that carrier and put enough pressure on the Baltimore so that he wouldn't be a threat to our friendly cruiser. I was hoping to get a few citadels and a few more kills than this, but I guess luck isn't really on my side this game, but oh well, after all, we're winning the game and we're winning it for the team.
Battle ends in 5 minutes.
So that is quite important too. Rather than going for kills, you want to go for the targets that poses the most threat. So I didn't end up chasing down that CV, but I turned so I can do some damage to Baltimore. Hopefully I could delete him, but in this video I couldn't because of the dispersion and maybe my poor aiming, but after all, that is actually very important. So with the CV and the Baltimore destroyed by friendly forces, it's time for me to hunt down Leander, which would be at Cap C. So just a quick recap. Keep the number of enemies firing at you as low as possible. Keep your angles. Shoot at the most vulnerable enemies. Don't try to kill ships and secure kills if you're a BB. You can definitely do that if that's the only thing you can do, but make sure you eliminate the most threatening targets first before you do anything else. So don't go all solo warrior and start taking on 4 enemies at once. You can do that if you have teams supporting you, but if you're solo, the chances are you're going to die. So mostly try to do what I've been doing in this video. So work along with your team, keep yourself safe as well as soaking up certain damages. So take the risks that you can take and don't take risks that you can't take. So make sure you weigh everything so that you can win the game as the objective rather than trying to get the highest number of kills or the most damage for your team. All of those are useless if you end up losing the game. So I see this last ship behind this island, so I will go ahead and brawl that ship. I will be able to fully overmatch her armor. Leander barely has any armor. 4/6 is more than enough to overmatch, and my secondaries will rip that ship apart. So pre-aiming towards my right hand side and making a turn to go for that island. So I see Leander here. I try to aim under her bell so I can overmatch it and perhaps citadel her through the bell, but that didn't work out. It's just a dispersion, but my secondaries managed to finish her off and secure the final kill. So overall, this game had been great. I did quite a lot of damage. I tanked a fair amount of damage, but I didn't get as many kills as I could have. If I shot, let's say, a second earlier for most of those kills, for example, for the New Mexico and the Alabama, I would have gotten 8 kills. If I had a lucky citadel with either the Baltimore or the CV, I would have gotten even more. But after all, it's not about the kills. That had been a great game of pushing, and I turned a losing game around. So I guess that would have been a great game. So now, if you like this video, please like and subscribe, and share it amongst your friends if you found this guide helpful. Have a good day, guys.